Today we're going to be looking at Funwhole's Steampunk Airship. It's made of 1,641 pieces, and they kindly gave us this to build and review. So without any further ado, we'll jump in. We'll have a quick look at the box, and then we'll jump in and have a look at the set. It's got, the artistry on the box is very well done. It's very high quality. And I say on the front, you've got the picture of the set. You've got the Steampunk Airship logo down the bottom and some details. So this is F9014. It's the set name or model number. It has 1,641 pieces, and it says it's 12 plus. I would agree with the 12 plus too. There were parts in there which were tricky. On the back of the box, you can see we've got the two versions. So it doesn't necessarily tell you on the front, but it's they say day and night. So it has LEDs that you integrate as you build the ship. It does look great. Towards the end of this, I will do some shots, turn some lights off, and you can see what it looks like lit up. But yeah, so as you can see on the back there, you've got the day and night version. So you see, it's not a small set. Was it 1,641 pieces, as I said. It includes 3 minifigures, and there's a little cat piece too, which I'll just quickly show you. So you can get a better shot. So this is where they recommend to put the pieces. As you can see, the minifigures are good quality, very different to a typical LEGO minifigure. They come with accessories, so hair pieces, hat pieces, so on, but you do have to build them bit by bit. So you have to put the legs, you put the hands on the arms on the torso, head, hat, hair, etc. Not necessarily a bad thing, it's just something to be aware of. What's good at this view, a quick look sort of around and see if you can get inside shot. No, we can't. I will lift the top of the ship off in a minute so you can have a look inside. I'll just place you back down. Excellent. Right, so yeah, so if you start from the bottom up, the first part of the process when you're building it is the stand. The stand is very good, very sturdy. It's built with pins and some like Technic pieces, and gives a real good solid structure for the ship to sit on. It has a little bit of weight to it, but it's quite bulky, and there's obviously bits that hang off. Without it, you wouldn't be able to stand up. So it is a very integral part of the build. So moving up, so the actual base of the ship, this all part was all great. I found that the building process was actually fairly simple, and the pieces, again, they aren't Lego pieces, obviously. They're alternate Lego pieces, so it's still the same basis as the Lego brick, but they were very good, very high quality. Didn't have any issues with clicking them together, the clutch power and so on, and yeah, I can't fault them at all. There was also some sort of, I think, pieces that maybe Lego haven't produced as well, so that's quite good. And yeah, like the side pieces, it just as an extra thoughts have gone in to really kind of build out the features rather than just a ship. You've got this, what I'd imagine would be a steampunk theme. You've got the things here, which I guess are kind of propellers to keep the ship up, I'm guessing. If it's got wings, it's got the propellers on the top and the front. One thing to mention about the propellers, I got is they are a bit wobbly. I did think I had it wrong, but as far as I can tell, this is just how they are, and it's generally because of the way they're connected. So there's a little piece that goes between a brick there and into this piece, and same principle here. That's kind of piece that goes in and supports it, but especially the front here, obviously it's got gravity against it, it's got the pipes to stop it falling any further than that, and the top again is fine. It may be by design, I'm not sure, but it does still work fine. It's just something to mention. I'm not saying necessarily it's a negative, but just in case you're building it and you think you've done it wrong, that's how I believe it is. So you'll notice sort of throughout the ship there are sticker pieces used a fair bit. There's not tons, but there are I think about 13 maybe. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the way the stickers are done. I prefer the normal Lego sort of stickers where you peel it off and you stick it straight on. Where these, they were you peeled it off as it was a square kind of transfer. It's like, it reminds me of like a temporary tattoo, and you placed it on the piece, and then when you pulled it away, the kind of graphic stuck to the piece. And the reason I didn't like it was just because I found it really hard with the square piece, especially putting on the circle tiles. I just found it really hard to align it up, and you notice here, it's not quite in the centre. It's a bit frustrating. And once you've got it on, you can't realign it, you can't redo it, because you know, you pull off the transparent bit, and then that's stuck to the tile. But again, I'm not very good at sticking stickers, so maybe that had something to do with it. I'll give the chipper just a general spin round and try and keep it in focus so you can actually see. So you just pull it around a bit more so you can see the back. Yeah, so you got another piece of the back. This bit's more sturdy. There's not much weight to it, I suppose. But it's generally, you know, cloud smoke coming out the back, and you know, gives it again that kind of impression that it's shooting forward. But hopefully, I'm not sure if you can tell from there. Probably not. When I take the top off, you'll see inside. There's quite a lot of detail inside the cabin, which is good, really good. And when it lights up as well, actually, it all really stands out. Let's put it around. Actually, before I move it around here, so I said about it has LEDs inside. There are two ways you can power it. You can power off a battery pack, or you can power it from USB. I chose a battery pack because, I'll be honest, I didn't have anywhere to plug it in. But it is quite a cool little thing. So there's a little LED, like a component board there, which I will quickly just show you. So it's down in there, and there's actually the battery pack in there too. And it's quite nice because initially I wasn't sure where it would go, and I just kind of balanced it on the top, and it did spoil the build. But you tuck it in, and you can effectively, I'm not going to do it now because I guarantee I'll break it, but with one of these wires, you can just pull it out, and it's really light, and you can pull it out and change it. But unless you need to change the batteries, you have really no reason to touch it, to be quite honest. Actually, that's not true. There is the switch to turn the LEDs on there, but you can poke your finger in and flick that. So again, there's not necessarily a reason to pull it out. But yeah, and then that tuck bit just flaps down and sort of hides that it's there. They have done well as well throughout the process, putting the LEDs in, of hiding the wires. Some of it was a little bit tricky. Some of it felt like the wires were going to snap because it was quite tight. But generally speaking, they're great. I mean, as you can see the build, there's, other than the back there, and there's I think 6, 7 wires that are going back to the actual battery pack. And you know, I can see from where I'm sitting now, 1. So I think it's good. I think it's really good. Okay, so you can see on the cabin you have 2 doors either side. You have doors obviously that open up. You can't necessarily see a great deal from here, even from where I'm sitting, which is why I'll take this off in a second. But again, yeah, it's cool. If you've got minifigures, you can, you know, pull them in. And I've got to stop calling them minifigures because that's not what they are. You can put the figures, you know, in the cabin or placements. There are places, you know, on the I think it's called a deck of a ship. You know, you can place them. So this is kind of where they recommend to put it. But you build like this telescope, which is quite cool. I will admit, initially when I was building it, I thought it was a gun, but it's not. It's a telescope, and you can place, you know, like sort of the captain, sort of looking over it, or whoever you want. And yeah, you got here as well, which I'll get another close up, where the kind of driver of the ship sits, and this little mechanism is quite cool. So it actually sort of moves, and it uses the can't remember what these pieces are called, and I just broke the gun. I'll put that back together in a second. Yeah, and it goes back and forwards. You know, it's all kind of movable, and the seat is built up quite well as well. I actually quite enjoyed building that bit. It was quite satisfying when it got to the part where it all clipped together and you place him in, and you know, his feet actually attach to the sort of a plate at the bottom there. So he's not going to slide out, it's not going to fall out. You have to actually remove him if you want to. As you see, I've just appeared to have killed the captain. I'm standing back up. I've accidentally broken the telescope, but that's nothing to do with the set, that's me. Yeah, like I say, you got the cat and the other woman. I'm not sure what she is. To be fair, I'm not sure what any of them are. I'm making guesses. So yeah, so we have a quick look at the LEDs. So we've got LEDs at the top here, so the lights up the sides. You have inside of the cabin, and I believe, if I remember, this piece here is also a light, and I think there are lights underneath too. So one comment about the LEDs, however, and maybe I got unlucky, I'm not sure. So I know someone else who has this set and he didn't have a problem, is that so they're done on sort of little studs. I found that on certain pieces, particularly say the bit under here, when there's an LED that pokes in, and then nowadays you put the stud on, so you put the LED stud on and then you put another stud on top. I found that the LED placement wasn't quite centre, so the other stud wouldn't actually go on. So I ended up having to leave it off after a lot of frustration and squeezing the pieces together. So that was a bit of a negative about the set, and maybe I got unlucky, but I had like 3 that were that way. It hasn't affected the actual overall set in itself, but obviously you're meant to be able to put the studs on. So if I was going to be critical on it, that's one thing I'd pick out. I'll quickly take the top off and try and do it without breaking it. So then you can see inside. So I'll have to, the other side is obviously not typically meant to come off because it has an LED attached to it, but just want to show you the inside before we turn the LEDs on. So you can see the inside there. You have a table. I can't remember what that was inside there, but you've got like a coat rack, there's like a music player, and I think there was a table with like binoculars and food and stuff. And there is an LED sitting inside that, so we had that yellow sort of horn piece or whatever they're called. But that lights up, which really makes the whole sort of centerpiece, sorry, the centerpiece, the cabin glow. I'm going to try and put this down and place this without breaking anything. Okay, so that was the set. I haven't really got many negative things to say about it. It was a really good build. It looks great. It's not fragile. It has good sturdiness about it, other than the bits I mentioned at the top, but nothing that actually affects the build. My only kind of things that I would say is a negative are the LEDs I had problems with. That was a bit frustrating. There were some bits in the build, in the cabin particularly, that was a bit fragile, but once I kind of got further through it, it became a lot stronger, but I'm quite clumsy as well, as you can evidently tell. So it could have been down to me. Someone else maybe who had a bit of sturdy hands would maybe not have had the problem so much. The only other thing I had mentioned was the instructions. So the instructions, again, the actual building process, let's move this out of the way so I can show the instructions. Just pop that up so I don't lose it. Yeah, the actual instructions were good, the building process was good, but I did find that the colours of the pieces in the instructions wasn't so good. So it was fine with the lighter colours, absolutely fine. Let's just show you some of the artwork. But when it got to the darker ones, like the reddish brown, black, it got a bit hard to distinguish what pieces they wanted you to put sometimes, especially when there were sort of like a brown and reddish brown. I kind of found myself having to kind of really compare it and figure it out, which was a little tricky, but didn't massively affect the building process. It's again something to bear in mind, and I think it's common for alternate Lego sort of sets. So yeah, the artistry in the book is great. It depends if you're instruction mad, then there is some nice stuff in here. Explanation of why they built it, how they did it, how to do the LEDs, and this is the stickers I was saying about. So it has the sort of transfer as I was trying to sort of explain. Should have been easier if I opened the instructions in the first place. But if you kind of get what I mean, you have to line the square up. Yeah, maybe you'll find it easier, but I found it tricky personally. And then straight onto the instructions, which you can see, you know, they're generally good. It's not hard to follow, other than some of the colours were a bit tricky. So in this, I believe, like this one for example, is reddish brown, whereas it looks very dark. But yeah, I'm not going to moan too much about it, because I say I built it and it wasn't awful at all. So what we'll do next is I'll quickly just stop the camera, I'll turn the lights off and turn the light on, and you can see what it looks like in the dark. Okay, so here we go, and sit, and here it is in the dark. I'll try my best to get a good sort of video of it without too much of the glare. Hopefully as I turn it around, some of the glare will come off the camera. But yeah, as you can see initially, I mean, I think it looks awesome. See sort of the centerpieces here. You've got the LEDs I said at the top, sort of floodlights. You have one at the bottom, which really makes it glow. At the back, I'll try to sort of just turn it around. You can see sort of the inside, which I think is one of the best features, to be quite honest, of the LEDs. Kind of like, you know, you really imagine that a captain being in there having something to eat or whatever. And yeah, you've got one sort of to make the yeah, I guess give the impression there's sort of fire coming out. It's lit up the back engine there. I'll just turn it around at the front so you can get a front view. So you have the light brick at the front, and you have a light at the very top there, which goes orange. I'll just turn it around so it doesn't glare so much. And there you go. That is a set in itself. I hope you enjoyed sort of having a look around. I tried to sort of pick out the pieces that I thought were most important for you, but if there's any questions you have, please do drop a comment and I'll be happy to answer it. If you would like to buy this set, there is a link in the description for the Funwhole website, and you can pick this set up for relatively cheap. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.